that have been up on the forefront, sharing their stories, speaking to young people, trying to win back a society that is free to speak, to be social beings before anything else. We are all out here chasing paper, chasing bags, but who has time to ask you, how are you? No, not I'm fine, but really, how are you? There's a formality of, hi, how are you? I'm fine. It's pretty much a question and answer, aspect. But you want to ask somebody, are you really fine? Do you need a minute with me? Do you need a second with me? And we're asking, could there be just a silent killer that we are pretty much more quiet about? I know the fuel prices came up and every other person had a reaction to it. But when we talk about mental health and depression taking away young lives, talking about untimely deaths, is anyone concerned? Are we investing enough of our time and resources in conversations like this, and even in implementation of what is already on the ground that ought to save several young lives as we are speaking? Depression, is it a killer, a silent killer, as we speak in this day and age? And I want to welcome on set my guests. I don't know why it's difficult for me to call you guys panelists. It feels easier for me to say my guests. I don't think I need a panel. I think I need human beings on set to actually say things as they are. So I want to start with Mama. You have been your story has been on social media and on YouTube, and so much courage and boldness. First, I want to hail you for that and applaud you for the number of lives you've impacted by just coming out. So I want to allow you to say good morning to the viewer, back at home, and just how you feel being here today.
Where do I look? This side?
You can look at me and you can look at the camera as well, because it's the viewer.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Jackie Mutere, or mental health advocate, or I'm Mama Chichi. I'm here speaking for Chichi. Yes. Actually, his name is Jerry Ogola, but we called him Chichi.
Yes.
Chichi means, it was short for Chisende, meaning money, but it was what it was.
It was what it was.
Yes,
and I know for most people who are trying to figure out where, the story is coming from, Mama Chichi, yes. As we, of course, celebrating still the years that Chichi lived, yes. Lost Chichi to depression.
Yes.
Yes. So you want to follow more of that story also on YouTube, but I know you'll give us a bit of the story for those who actually missed out, okay. And why you then got into the mental health advocacy.
Okay.
Yes.
Chichi was a young gentleman on 4th of August, 2019. It was an evening. We were getting ready for bed. Please excuse me, I'm just speaking for myself. He's got two siblings, smaller, younger than him. And I was preparing for bed with the small one, my daughter at that time. And the brother kept coming in and out of the bedroom saying, Becky, come and see what's happening. Come and see Chichi, just come. There's something that's going on, just come. So I didn't know what it was. I just thought it's their normal sibling games. And the brother disturbing sister. And she decided just to go and see what it was that he was bugging her about. And when she came out, she rushed back immediately and told me, Mom, come and see. Chichi's playing a game. And that game is bad. He's swinging on his neck, and he doesn't look nice the way he's swinging. And so I rushed out, and the first thing that I saw was I saw him, his tongue had hung out, and he was foaming at the mouth, and he was foaming in the nose, and tears coming out of his eyes. And so I just rushed immediately, that's where he was hanging, and I just brought him down. And then we rushed him to hospital. During that time, it was evening. It was about 9 o'clock. So we took him to the first hospital, and they didn't have oxygen. Took him to the second hospital. They also did not have oxygen. And we took him to the third hospital by the time we got there. And they put him. The doctors rushed to resuscitate him, because I kept telling them, resuscitate him, put him on oxygen. And they were just fixing, touching him and trying their stethoscope. And so I walked out onto the balcony of the hospital, and I stood there. And I told God, please help me. Please help me. Please help me. Otherwise, something is going to burst in my head. something's going to happen to me. Please help me. So I went in, I went back in. And when I went back in, I asked the doctors were standing and just looking at him. And my neighbor had come with me. And so I asked, why aren't they doing anything? And then it suddenly dawned on me that actually he had died. He had actually passed away. And so the doctors told me actually he has passed away. They don't put oxygen on people who are dead. And so that's what happened, and that's how I lost him. And I'll go back a little bit and trace his footsteps back. He was a fun-loving boy. He was a prankster. But I don't know what happened when he went to school.
All right.
Yeah, it was boarding school. We changed him from school A, he wasn't doing well. Changed him to school B, he still wasn't doing well. And then when we changed him to school D, he just started not going to school. He'd be more at home than at school.
Yes.
In school B, one day he just came from half-term, and he said, I'm not going back to that school. I told him, why aren't you going back? He said, I'm just not going back to that school. So I wanted to give him time first to recover, because I've dealt with teenagers a little bit before. So I just wanted to understand why it is that he's not going back to school. And he just was uncommunicative. So he just started shutting down from there. And we got him to the next school. The next school he went a little bit, interacted a little bit. I think he got a girlfriend or something like that. But then one of the parents' days when I went there, we had discussion with the teacher about his schoolwork. He was fluctuating too much. Then he started just not caring about himself. He started not going to school. He started. He had very many excuses for not going to school, and then making a lot of demands. He would say, "I want to play football. I want football boots." And I want football boots. I want football boots. And you get him the football boots. Then he doesn't go to play football.
Okay.
Then, and then he says, I want to go to school, fix my bike, I want to ride to school.
So he was making quite a number of demands.
A lot of demands. And then when you fulfill the demands, he just doesn't take it up. I fixed the bike. He didn't use the bike to go to school. And then he just started withdrawing gradually and getting into a lot of fights with his siblings. And when I intervened, I think he felt that I was defending his sister siblings, much more than him, because the sister is smaller than him and very petite, and he was much bigger than her, and so he wanted to beat her all the time, and I would always intervene, and so that brought about a lot of problems. So the more I challenged him, the more he withdrew. The more I challenged him, the more he withdrew, until finally he wouldn't come out of his room. He wouldn't take a bath. He wouldn't take a shower. He wouldn't eat with us. And I tell him, no, come and sit with us and eat. And he would say no. So finally, and even on the fateful night, the small little girl, my last born daughter, took him food, a plate of food. And he's normally a very healthy eater. Okay. And I asked him, has he eaten? Has he taken his food? She said he just gave her a thumbs up sign. I said, I'll eat. So, because she said, my mama said, Mama said, you make sure that you finish your food. And if you want more, there's still more food. And he just put up the thumbs up sign. And so he never ate that food that night.
So that night of his demise, he did not eat either?
He didn't eat either.
We are going to follow on still with that story, and I'm glad that you're such a strong parent to come out. I know so many parents are watching this morning, helping us to trace back the footsteps as well. Shows that you are checking out your son, and you said you were trying to be there and trying to also look at the sibling rivalry. And I know that certain parents are dealing with that right now. They don't know the end goal, but I know that you will be working with us this morning with the many other youth, which is numerous of youth, probably in that line as we continue. I want to, of course, welcome on set Anthony Njenga, who is a counseling psychologist and a young man, for that matter.
Very young.
Thank you for creating time. Very young. Please, say good morning, and you want to also make a few remarks in regards to Chichi's story as we begin this discussion and delve deeper, and maybe welcome in the young people to talk to us on Facebook as well. Karibu.
Good morning to those who are watching us this day. My name is Anthony Njenga. I'm a counseling psychologist. And to you who is a young person who is watching the show right now, please, you can send in your question, you can open up and talk to us. Feel free. And to Mama Cheche's story, it is sad because right now we have young people are really going through a lot, Anki. Young, you know, right now we have a lot of issues. Sasa tuko na mambo mingi sana. So the young people are wanaangalia sasa mambo na hakuna mafuta ya gari. The country inaenda in a way hata ieleweki. So even the young people are finding it difficult to open up. You know, it is which isn't the case, which shouldn't be the case, because it is very important to open. As much as you feel like the country is really not going in a good place. Depression is one of the most difficult, or one of the major ways in which young people are dying.
All right.
When it comes to relationship, people are really going through a lot. When it comes to different mental health issues, young people are going through a lot, and it is high time those who are watching us, please just speak up. You know, talk to somebody. It won't hurt. As much as you feel like things are becoming difficult in the country, just open up. We are here to help. Yes.
Mama Chichi.
From that time on, there were so many youth that reached out to me. I don't think a month or a week passed by in the past 2 years where a youth, either male or female, has not told me that they wanted to commit suicide. And the reasons were so varied. Some of them were campus students, too much academic pressure on them. And academic pressure was what the parent wanted, was not what they wanted.
Okay.
Yes.
And they just, because the parent is paying or because they qualified, they cannot just not be there. They just must be there. So that internal pressure from what they want and from the external pressure from what the parents want is what gives them it dissatisfies them and leads them down that path. There are also young people who perhaps have not done as well as they would want to, or done as well as be doing as well as their peers. For example, maybe you might find some people come from different backgrounds.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and one might come from a background that is very well off, and you might not have performed very well in your academics, but somehow you're in college and you're going through. But you have got less opportunities, less financial opportunities. You're somehow maybe stuck at home, and you don't. And so that pressure, it does something to young people. And then there are also young girls who are in relationships with boys, and then they're let down, and they just somehow feel hopeless. They just don't want to continue. They don't want to carry on, and something happens to them. And there are also others who, I think. Can I say misplaced values and culture?
Priorities?
Values and culture.
Just values and culture, yes.
Because if I don't have 1,000 likes for a video that I've removed, suddenly I'm not valuable to society, and hence I'm not valuable to myself. Why did so-and-so get so many likes? Why did so-and-so get so... social media pressure, exactly. And if somebody else seems to be getting more likes for what they're saying, then you want to ape what they're doing, and you can't do it because you're not them. Something is happening to the youth. And so if the youth don't turn internally and ask themselves what they are made for, what they are good at, many of them many are very, very depressed, I tell you. And I think, I don't want to say that I've stopped, but I've inhibited almost something like more than 10 suicides of youth who are always calling me. And you have to walk with them because they're always reaching out, and they give you reasons. Some of them are also going through a phase of rejection from parents, from society, from pressure, from friends. And this really affects them. And you know, the youth don't know how to handle it. And the way the generation millennium, I call it, they don't know how to manage pressure or to manage stress-related issues.
I might have to interject you there for a short break.
That's okay.
But I like that she has, of course, you know, with the counseling psychologist, you're really agreeing with you, is you've talked about, you know, the education pressure, academic pressure, social media pressure, I would say, is number one, because we see people actually write suicide notes on their statuses. And Yes, intimate partner violence, etc. So this is just the beginning of this conversation. I'm going to take a short breather and I want to open this officially to the viewer back at home. We are live on Facebook and you're a youth, and Mama Chichi here says she's open to these discussions, to helping you. She's working with quite a number of youth as well. If this is the platform that you need, then you should be here. Now start sharing the link, call in as many youth as possible, men and women alike. We also have Anthony Njenga, a young counseling psychologist. There's been an aspect of youth might not speak to their parents, but they could speak to someone of their age. What if that is why we have younger psychologists coming in as well? So we take a short breather, but don't go too far away. This is hashtag The Morning Drift, and you're watching the big conversation. Is it a time to fight this silent killer, depression?
Get a chance to wake up as a tourist as you view Mount Kenya every day by buying a plot of land at Wema Gardens, Naru Moru. At only 400 meters off tarmac, this is the right place to build your dream home, cottages or holiday homes. You can also buy this property to give to your children as a special inheritance. Water and electricity are in the vicinity, while neighbors are already building their homes. These plots are specially ready for you with title deeds scheduled to be out in 6 months. Buy a 50 by 100 plot of land at Wema Gardens for only 399,000 Kenya shillings. You can also pay for your plot through our friendly one-year installments plan.
The future of money is simple, like unlocking possibilities with a smile. And having the world in the palm of your hand. It's the ability to touch many lives at the same time and turn your dreams into reality. It's forgetting and still remembering. Simple is having everything that you love in one place. From the ticket to your next meal, to your ticket to the next holiday. It's an easy way to ask for a boost when you're low. And keeping track of everything on the go. The future of money is simple, and it's here. Download the new M-Pesa app today.
Want to grow your business? Broadcast your sermon, share birthday wishes, make funeral announcements, produce adverts and documentaries? Then book and advertise with us today by calling us on +254 700 893 542
700-893-542
or email us on sales@luke-app.tv.
Are you looking to turn your passion to purpose? Vera Beauty and Fashion College now brings you online classes at the comfort of your home. We are a TVET-approved institution with over 20 years experience in training competency-based courses in fashion design and creative arts, cosmetology, hairdressing, beauty therapy, interior design in soft furnishings, event decoration and flower arrangement, hospitality and catering, and training of trainers. To enroll, call us today on 0704 577 577 or visit our website at www.verabeautycollege.com. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a center of excellence.
Help me identify a beautiful woman. I never came across one till I got to Vera.
Get a chance to wake up as a tourist as you view Mount Kenya every day by buying a plot of land at Wema Gardens, Naru Moru. At only 400 meters off tarmac, this is the right place to build your dream home, cottages or holiday homes. You can also buy this property to give to your children as a special inheritance. Water and electricity are in the vicinity, while neighbors are already building their homes. These plots are specially ready for you with title deeds scheduled to be out in 6 months. Buy a 50 by 100 plot of land at Wema Gardens for only 399,000 Kenya shillings. You can also pay for your plot through our friendly 1-year installments plan.
They're inspiring possibility. We
Get the truth behind the headlines and an insight into Kenya's powerhouse. News that covers every part of an ever-changing country.
The agreement accords the two countries an opportunity to cooperate in healthcare delivery.
Ya kudhibiti athari za tabia nchi katika nchi yetu ya Kenya.
Your dream should never be determined by your age.
Whenever the sun starts to go down in the city, traffic starts to stop.
Was marked by serious violation of human rights.
Katikati mwa mtaa wa mabanda wa Mukuru.
From Look Up TV headquarters here in Nairobi, Kenya, broadcasting, of course, to all the 47 counties.
Is the latest of a series of robbery cases that have rocked Equity Bank in the last 10 years.
Up to the minute and biased. On point, without fear or favor.
When is the general coming back? When is he coming back?
Thank you very much for inviting me to your studio.
All new Look Up TV.
Welcome back. You are watching #The Morning Drift, and this is Look Up TV. On the big conversation today, we are looking at the #1 killer of young people in this country, and that is depression. And we've made it silent. I personally would say we have made it silent, because had we opened up a space in this country for conversations and for people to actually come out and say, this is the battle I am having, then perhaps we'd have saved several other lives. Welcome back, of course, my guests on set. Mama Chichi, I'm gonna call you that today. Just honoring how far you have come and coming out to say, well, this is what my story is. You know, having lost your son to depression, thank you for championing for mental health. And our counseling psychologist today on set, that is Anthony Njenga. We've walked quite some milestone here in this conversation. We've created a base, a foundation, and we were coming in to now bring in other aspects that probably are not out in the light. And you make pressure. And what conflict people have, you know, when it comes to me on social media vis-a-vis the reality of my life. So I'm going to push it back to you again, and we can pick it from where we left from, especially on the academic pressure. Anthony, you had something to add.
Yeah, when it comes to academic pressure, you know, I'm a young person, so I'll say I as a young person, and those who are watching, the young people who are watching, there's this pressure that our parents, I'm not blaming our parents, but our parents, let's say for example, your mom and dad, they're both doctors. So they want you as a young person to be a doctor, you know? So now you're pushed to university to study for 4 years or 5 years in a course that you didn't want to. Maybe your path was art. Mm-hmm. Maybe your path was something else. But just because your parents wants to feel satisfied, because akiona ukiwa daktari, they push you to something you're not. And that kills a lot of young people. I've seen a lot of it na poverty, no? There is nothing like poverty in something you're doing. Just support your child. Ndio asifike point anakuja kublame, anasema huku ni support. And you can imagine Anki, a young person going to university doing a course that hakuwa na meant kufanya. Afanye for 4 years, then akuja kwako mzazi akupatie the degree, akwambie now let me do what I want to do.
And of course, that means they've been battling within themselves for about 5 years already.
Yes.
And I want to come back to, Mary. And I want to understand, after the demise of Chichi years down the line, I would love to know, did you ever find out why he ever, took his life?
I've reflected quite a lot, and one of the things I did was go through his books, and I got a diary of his, and I think he was going through a lot of bullying. And I read about 3 pages, and I couldn't go beyond that, because he seems to have been beaten quite a bit in school. And so that must have affected him. And so then, you know, he was the eldest boy.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps there must have been pressure on him to be like a man. And then maybe his friends, the boys he used to hang out with, they were men. I don't know what they defined men were, or what a man is supposed to be. And so maybe that could, his perception of what a man should be or how should be treated could have influenced how he used to behave with us in the house.
Okay.
And this is what I'm reflecting later. So that must have been the reason why he was trying to assert himself a lot in the house. He was also very insultive to me. He really used to insult me, and he'd really disrespect me, disrespect the sisters. And that's what would bring the quarrels along a lot in the house. And so we'd tell him, you know, you can't stay here. Because of, you can't stay here and make this kind of noise here. It would bring a lot of contention. He tells me I'm staying. I tell him you're not staying. I'm a widow. I brought Chichi up on my own. So he knows there was no other father figure, but my brothers were there, his uncles were there, and his grandfather was there. So he really loved his grandfather. So he had this fetish. I want to go and see my granddad. Just before he died, I want to go and see my granddad. I want to go back. I want to go and live with my Kwara. And I told him, but you can't go and live with Kwara when you're in this situation. What are you going to do? You have to first do something. Not going to be a problem at home at home. Stay here, do something. Can I take you to driving school? I'm not ready. Do you want to go to art school? I don't know. Do you want to do this? So he was very, very unstable. So I think something just happened to him mentally, internally, until he just decided. And let me tell you, he kept saying, Mimi siwezi ishi hivi.
All right.
Siwezi ishi hivi. After a quarrel, after a fight, after something, or he'd come out, we'd leave food for him, and I come and I check and he's not eaten, then I go to his room and ask him, why didn't you eat? What's the problem? Aren't you well? And then he just shut down, literally shut down, didn't speak, didn't talk, didn't want to look at anybody in the eye, couldn't look at anybody in the eye, couldn't interact with anybody, would take a shower after a week, that kind of thing. And so in reflection, I'm also talking about, I just also want to reflect also on the recent incidences of children being bullied in schools, some committing suicide, some being beaten, and then schools denying it, headmasters denying it, principals denying it. It is a rampant epidemic in schools, and it's something that maybe the Ministry of Education should really take care of. Let me say it's a contributor. And people are in different places mentally, and the abilities are different. So my resilience is not Dr.'s resilience. Your resilience is not my resilience. I'm at a different place. I've been brought up differently. I've been exposed differently. My orientation is different. My personality is decisions that the youth really that the youth will take. Allow me just to say this: your one action, Chichi's one action, really, really affected my family life. It affected me as a mother. I also hit depression. It affected his sister, the one they used to quarrel with.
Yes.
She hit depression. Now
she actually saw.
She actually saw him.
Yes.
And then she started blaming herself because the fights were with her all the time. And she started blaming herself. She started being a drunkard, literally, because she couldn't manage the pain of knowing that perhaps she's the one who might have caused it, blaming herself. And actually, and because she used to say, I should have understood, I should have realized, I should have seen, I should have, you know. So when you reflect these things, everything is it's water under the bridge now. So now that is why I speak, so that another parent, another teen might recognize, develop a relationship. You know, you know, there's no set book for parenting. Because people are different, choices are different, situations are different. So what works for me might not work for you. And so I cannot say that it worked for me this way, so it will work for another parent. For another parent. It might not. But what you must do is you must take up your responsibility as a parent and ensure that you do it. If you must look after a child, always inquire after a child. They have to give you answers. If they're in your house, they have to give you answers. If they're not in your house, they're not your responsibility. But if they're in your house, still under your care, still using your money, you're still educating them, they have to answer to you.
I want to talk about, you know, when Chichi would say, Mimi sitaishi hivi, Mimi siwezi ishi hivi. Did you at one point probe it? Because I can tell you for sure, and Anthony's here, we have so many of moments when our friends say that. In our groups, in the peer groups, and we have siblings who say that as well. And it's usually a moment where you think they're just angry or they're being rude. And I want to hear, did you ever probe? Did you ever ask him, what do you mean by Mimi sitaishi hivi?
So for me, thinking Mimi sitaishi hivi, I interpreted it because we were always in conflict. He wanted to move out.
Okay.
You see? It was never for me that there was something internally happening amongst us that he wanted to resolve. So I thought, so unataka nyumba yako? Look for a job and move out. I mean, what's the problem? You know, do something with your life. But let me help you get your education in order so that you can sort yourself out, so that you can move out and have this peace that you're looking for that is not with us. But apparently that wasn't the case. It was a broken relationship between himself and myself, himself and his colleagues. By colleagues, I mean his peer groups, between himself and his sisters, his siblings. There was a breakdown somewhere. And so that's what caused him to withdraw. And reflecting on it all the time and chewing over it all the time is what happened. So I know for a fact that he reached out to his cousins, he reached out to his relatives, many of them, and many of them didn't understand him. I didn't understand him, so I don't blame anybody. But nobody understood that he was reaching out saying something. And then he just did that, and it broke everybody's back.
And you talking about reaching out, Anthony, what is the situation as it is right now? Because I don't know how many times you check your DM in a day. I don't know how many times you've received a phone call. I do know for sure if someone called me right now, I'm going to have to call them back, but get into a meeting and I'll call them back, and maybe call them back later in the night when probably it's too late. Talk about checking up. You know, she said he reached out to so many people. Yes.
Yeah, so what I can say about checking up is it is very important to really check up. I was saying in the break, if you're watching this right now, be it a young person or maybe you're elderly, please, we are like 50 to 55 million people in this country, Kenya. So at least support someone, one or two people. It shouldn't have to be only financially.
No,
there are people who just want you to listen to them. There are people who don't even want you to help them. But the moment you just give them your ears, the moment you just sit down and listen to what they have to say, that is enough. And that is what most people don't do, because you're like, I'm busy. Why should I check up? Why should I mbona niko busy, mimi niko na life yangu. Wanasemanga maisha ni yangu, shughulika na ya, which is a very bad statement to use, because sasa nikisema maisha ni yangu, shughulika na yako, then are we really taking care of our brothers and sisters?
Kind of like none of your business, leave me alone. Dr. May I just say that at times it would be appropriate if we developed some sort of structures like community structures where the youth can engage, or develop a sisterhood, a brotherhood, places where you can have activism and artivism speak. So where talents, the person that you are comes out, and you can I call it a safe space? Safe space within communities where youth can actually interact, or even people. I'm not saying youth only, but the focus of the conversation right now is on the youth, because they're the ones who are the hardest hit right now. But a place where you can be open enough to get in touch with yourself first.
Get in touch with yourself.
Yourself first, yes. Because if you don't know yourself, you live somebody else's life. You live R. Kelly's life. You live Beyonce's life. You live Cardi B's life. And you don't have the money. You don't live in America. Their culture is so different. And here you are in Kenya, battling with sewage water, battling with the fuel crisis, battling with food, battling with schools, battling with COVID, and you want to live the life that Cardi B is living. You want to live a Kardashian kind of life, and it is so wrong. It is fake. And that fakeness is maybe what puts in internal and external pressure on children to live other people's life. I'm not saying that's what Chichi did, but I know that he's a very gadgety person. So he was on Instagram. And so on Instagram, he was known by a different name, but his sisters knew it. So I had to go to his Instagram and read some of his posts, and I couldn't understand the pain that he was in. I was so broken that I didn't recognize it. And so instead of living a life of regret, and talking about what might have been. It's good for both sides, both parents to reach out to children and to connect with their children at whatever level, and also for the youth to reconnect with their parents and to reconnect with, not necessarily even your parents, but can I call them just an accountability partner?
Yes.
A sister, a buddy, a pal that you can reach out and be open with. Because, and you know, the youth don't know how to deal with issues, I tell you the truth.
And I think that's the situation. They don't know how to deal with it.
Because even after Chichi died, I can tell you, his friends didn't know how to manage it.
Okay.
They didn't know how to come to the house. They didn't know. They came and sat and just looked at me. And then I showed them the picture of him with the mark of the rope on his neck. I just showed it to them. And they just sat there. Others walked out. Others sat there and couldn't do anything. And they didn't know how to mourn. They didn't know how to manage it, didn't know how to manage the pain, didn't know what to tell me, didn't know what to manage the situation. But there is one friend of his who knew how to manage him, because he'd reached the place where he didn't care about himself anymore. So he'd walk out and go to his base in boxers. And that one particular friend, they'd call him and tell him, so-and-so, just come and collect Chichi ako hapa, anakaa mbaya, you know, and that kind of thing. And so they'd bring him back home. And they bring him back home, then he'd go and just lock himself again, and then he wouldn't eat. So it deteriorated. So he lost weight. He didn't eat. And you know that he didn't eat, he didn't interact. He didn't get sunshine. He didn't get water. He didn't get nutrition. That does something to you. It does something to you.
It actually does something to you mentally. And I'm coming to, there's an aspect you said that people do so much taking care of their skin, glowing their hair, yet you could be dying internally and you don't even know about that yet. Are we, like you said, prioritizing the wrong aspects of our health? I just want to read feedback on Facebook that is coming in, and then we can continue this conversation. Remember, there's an open space today, and we want to hear from you as well. Phoebe Ngari is saying in Nakuru, and she's tuned in. Thank you very much. Frederick Flavio Dongo saying, the truth of the matter is that the main factors of depression are family or marriage wrangles, like cheating in relationships or high demands of needs, losing a loved one, and lacking counseling. And the biggest factor is peer pressure from the youth, that is friends, drugs, etc. And I want to hear from you, Anthony, and of course I'll just read that again. You want to make a comment on that. Frederick is saying the truth of the matter is that the main factors of depression are family or marriage wrangles, like cheating in relationships or high demands of needs, losing a loved one, and lacking counseling. And the biggest factor thereof is peer pressure from youth, that is when it comes to matters of friendships, drugs, etc. And I want to hear from our counseling psychologist on set today on that.
Let me start with the aspect of the counseling bit. You know, most people, Anki, they don't believe in therapy. They don't believe counseling works. They believe in my issue is my issue, and wacha mimi nikae na issues zangu, nikufe na issues zangu. Unajua kuna watu, like most men, which we advocate for men opening up, there are men who say mwanaume ni kukaa ngumu. And you get, kuna time inakuwa so difficult, hawezi kaa ngumu, inakuwa so difficult for you to remain. So it is high time therapy works for you who is there and you are going through any mental issue, mainly depression, and you need someone to talk to, and you need counseling sessions. I am here. You can talk to me. Show ikiisha nitakuwa nawapatia namba yangu. And also when it comes to the peer pressure, Anki, I agree. Peer pressure, by the way, this is actually the major thing. The peer pressure from our fellow friends, our brothers, you know, our sisters. Unapata, unakuwa influenced. People are swayed in easily with the peer influence. Unapata, ukiambiwa twende hivi, unaenda. But one thing you need to know is you have your principles. You can stand firm with your principles. You don't have to follow what people are doing. Social media pressure, you know. You cannot compare Anki's life with my life. We have different paths, you know. We were not born at the same time. Because if you're saying you're comparing my relationship with your relationship, it won't work. And that is why you get most marriages, most relationships fail, because there's a comparison bit of it. Because nimeona, sorry to mention it, but they were Jesus are living the best, and I know they're happy. So mimi nataka kuimplement that lifestyle kwa life yangu, kwa sababu wanaenda na this bonfire, wanaenda majuu, wana travel na ndege, you know, they are going to luxurious restaurants. Now that we are married, now that we are dating, we have to do the same. It doesn't have to be that way, Anki.
All right.
You know, we have to change that scenario that it's not a must you go on vacation on December. It's not a must you live with the lifestyle you're seeing on social media. Social media is social media. I usually say one thing, Anki. You cannot compare someone's chapter 20 with your chapter 1. You know, before they got to chapter 20, there was a process. And you know, you're in chapter 1, you're still growing, and life is a process. Life is a journey.
Indeed.
You got to accept the journey. You got to accept the process, because you cannot move from 0 to 100 in 1 second. You have to go through the process. So the comparison bit of it, please, if you're watching this right now, and you're trying to compare yourself with someone else, you're trying to compare your relationship, your marriage with someone else, please accept your relationship. Please accept your marriage. God will provide, you know. You know one thing, Anki, maybe you're not a religious, you're watching and you're not religious, but one thing I usually say is, when the time is right, there's a book of Isaiah 60:22. That is my favorite verse. It says, when the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen.
When the time is right.
When the time is right.
Things will happen.
Can I say something about
yes,
therapy?
You can. Yes, you can.
You know, Dr. You're really reaching out to the youth about therapy. Yes. But what about the availability of those therapy services? If 5 people call you after this session, yes, will you be able to go through your whole day? Because therapy is not a 1-minute affair. Exactly. So are you going to donate your time? Yes. Or I'm actually going towards this direction of the cost of therapy. Yes. And also the branding, the availability, yes, of the therapy. Yes. And Dr. You might be available. Yeah. But are there community structures or community services that one can get? I'll tell you one thing. Yeah. Nobody wants to go to Mathare Mental Hospital. Exactly. Because of the branding, yes, of the hospital. Yes. The hospital is meant to be for those guys who are stuck raving mad. Their hair is standing, you're naked, you're tied with a rope, you're being pulled, your relatives don't know what to do with you, and you're generally a mad person. So it's difficult for people to rethink, yes, the idea of therapy, yes, as a process that is going to help you deal with your medical issues, even medically, rather than your unaenda weni wazimu.
Right.
Very recently, there was a girl who is very, very offensive, and she had an altercation with my daughter. And when she had an altercation with my daughter, she was heard in the presence of my other children saying physically, we wachana na usistake chichi. Ujui chichi ali chizi. Ende ikawa huyu pia ni chizi. I have chewed over how I'm going to respond to such a thing. I've chewed over when I meet her face to face, how I will respond to her. Yeah. My heart has broken. I've gone through the process of anger, pain. I've plotted murder against her, and then I just didn't know how to handle it.
She's receiving stigma.
Absolutely. And so when that kind of stigma is around, it's very difficult to manage or even to encourage the youth to recognize that I have a problem and I need support. Mtu asione mimi ni chizi. That really disturbs. And so this is also an appeal to government, yes, on how they will manage mental health services, and calling it mental health and not a place for mad people. Okay, exactly. And the availability and the cost of them, exactly, it needs to be shared, yes, so that it's easy for people to go. Vile tumbo inakuuma, you can go, and also for people to recognize that a mental health condition is just the same way you can have malaria, exactly, or you can have sickle cell, and that there's something chemically, your internal thoughts have created a mental imbalance in your brain that needs medication of some sort. Okay, you may need, you may not need. You may be the one who needs some sort of medication to calm you down, or to bring you up, or to make you be able to manage yourself. Those kind of services is what I think is the number one thing, even as we talk about the youth reaching out. Community services, branding of hospitals, availability of the services, and the cost of the services. That for me is a priority towards a healthy Kenya.
You know, now we are heading to to the elections.
The elections, yeah.
I would really, which I've not seen yet, and I don't know why. I'd really love if an aspirant, be it the governor, the MP, would come up and say one of the manifestos. One of their manifestos will be talking of the psychological issues, the mental health stuff, which I have not seen any.
Okay, I'm an aspirant.
Yeah.
In where I stay.
Yes.
And one of my main key issues is mental health.
Then you're one in a million. At least I found one. But if you would get even to the higher level,
absolutely,
the president,
yes,
you know,
yes,
the governor, people,
yes,
you know,
yes,
it would be so nice because now the young people are looking into the leaders wanataka kuelektiwa.
Yes, yes.
Na wanaona manifesto yao ya vijana ya the mental health stuff haiangaliwi.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, before I take a short break and we come back with the conversation.
Yes. On role models, and on why a lot of the youth have now come out and they want to be MCAs is because they want to be sonkos. They do not want to be leaders. They do not want to build their communities. They do not want to remove sewage in their systems. They do not want to create infrastructure within their communities. They just want to be rich and to be recognized as rich people. Okay?
There's something about chasing the wealth.
Absolutely. And that is a mental health condition. Because if you want to be somebody else and you're going into governance for the wrong reasons, this country is in trouble.
And there we have it, the workforce, the human resource, the redirection of leadership. What if we are losing the right intention as well? The big conversation still continues, and I like the strength in studio. We're coming back to talk deeper into things that I have picked you talk about. You've talked about the very important aspect of something is happening to the youth internally, and we want to understand really how depression is working. Somebody's watching right now and they're not sure, am I bipolar? Am I having a bad day? Am I getting into the third stage of, mental health issues? Am I about to get suicidal? So maybe we want to walk that journey with them as well to know, where am I at this point in time? What do I do? And if I don't trust this person or that person, where then can I go to? I don't think people trust DMing anymore because there are screenshots going around all the time. So you don't even trust texting Anthony in the next minute. What if you're going to be screenshotting this information? How then can we create that safe space for the communication we are pushing for? Because I know the fears lie just there. Even if I spoke to you in the United States, my issues are no longer confidential. They're going to go out. So let's still have this conversation. Talk to me at Look Up TV. We are live on Facebook. And I want to urge you guys, this is this is one opportunity that you should not let go. This I'm speaking as Anki. Don't let this go. It is your time to have a turnaround, and that freedom, someone once says, starts in the mind. Freedom is actually of the mind, and we need to kill this silent killer, depression, starting from this set right here on The Big Conversation. We'll be right back. We want you to be part of the conversation. Question and answers now open when we come back.
The future of money is simple, like unlocking possibilities with a smile. And having the world in the palm of your hand. It's the ability to touch many lives at the same time and turn your dreams into reality. It's forgetting and still remembering. Simple is having everything that you love in one place. From the ticket to your next meal, to your ticket to the next holiday. It's an easy way to ask for a boost when you're low. And keeping track of everything on the go. The future of money is simple, and it's here. Download the new M-Pesa app today.
Want to grow your business? Broadcast your sermon, share birthday wishes, make funeral announcements, produce adverts and documentaries? Then book and advertise with us today by calling us on +254 700 893 542.
700 893 542.
Or email us on sales@luke-up.tv.
Travel Insights.
Tips to pack light. On Travel Tips today, pack like a pro when traveling. Packing light is hard, but it's totally worth it. The number one tip to packing light is packing the must-haves, not the nice-to-haves. Lay out all your gear. Thinking long and hard about every item, then eliminate anything you don't absolutely need.
Travel Insights.
Welcome to Look Up Guest House, Retreat and Prayer Center. When you first come in, we will be happy to receive you at our reception, then proceed to our cozy and well-equipped accommodation facilities. We aim to provide our guests with a unique, comfortable, and worthwhile experience. Here at Look Up Guest House, we provide our guests with a continuous supply of room amenities. A cool environment for all your retreat activities.
Look Up Guest House, Retreat and Prayer Center. For reservation, contact us on info@lookupguesthouse.org or call us on 0746 788 707. Career Guide.
Job hunting can be both exciting and overwhelming. You have to prepare yourself for it. For starters, optimize your LinkedIn profile. First impressions matter, so have a suitable image. Pay a professional if you have to. Tailor your resume to the roles you're applying for. This will help the hiring managers connect the dots easily. Lastly, try gaining some new skills. Take an online course if you have to.
Career Guide.
The following program is rated GE. It is suitable for general family viewing.
Get a chance to wake up as a tourist as you view Mount Kenya every day by buying a plot of land at Wema Gardens, Naru Moru. At only 400 meters off tarmac, this is the right place to build your dream home, cottages or holiday homes. You can also buy this property to give to your children as a special inheritance. Water and electricity are in the vicinity, while neighbors are already building their homes. These plots are specially ready for you with title deeds scheduled to be out in 6 months. Buy a 50 by 100 plot of land at Wema Gardens for only 399,000 Kenya shillings. You can also pay for your plot through our friendly 1-year installments plan.
Welcome back. This is the big conversation and looking at the silent killer taking away very young lives. We're talking about untimely deaths in this country, and we're talking about depression, and most of the times you hear a lot of stigmatization around it and you still stay quiet. You're probably the bully watching today on the KOTT people to the limits. But what are you doing with your handle today if you're not retweeting hashtag The Morning Drift, if you're not giving us, feedback on this, or tapping a friend of yours and using it constructively to be a messenger of hope? Which is the side that you're standing on? Are you a solution bearer or are you the problem? But even if you're the problem, we are looking forward to changing that mindset this very morning. Welcome aboard. Talk to me on Facebook. We are live at Look Up TV, and I'd love very much to share your sentiments, feedback, and questions with my guests today. Welcome back. One of the things that I know that we have not exhausted and is currently the biggest problem, you all know, and the viewer at home is probably one of them. Single parenting, not because of demise or other issues. It's just we were not married at the point. We had a child, and we're very young. For some reason, I possess you, or you're obligated. But do we look at it as something that's really pushing the youth to a different level of mental health, problems, maybe depression? And I want to hear from you, Anthony, when it comes to toxic romantic relationships or entanglements. Now it's been very common. People are glorifying, especially on social media via memes or videos or TikTok, aspects of entanglements or situationships.
When it comes to toxic romantic relationship, this is a very deep conversation, because Anki, it is sad that there are people who are stuck in toxic relationships. Just because I love my partner so much, I will withstand whatever my partner does to me and I won't leave. I was on the break I was telling Mama Chichi, there's this client I had. She's a lady. She was with a partner. They've stayed for 4 years, and apparently bonake alikuwa anamchapa every single day when sober. But now haizi toka. The ladies, I cannot leave my husband because, or my man, because we have a kid. I love this partner of mine. My family is not rich. The husband really paid a lot of dowry on my side. Which shouldn't be the case when it comes to the issue of toxic romantic relationship. I usually tell people, and I told them on Valentine's Day, and I will repeat, it is better you be single than you be in a toxic relationship or in a relationship that you're not happy. Take care of your peace of mind. Take care of your happiness. There's something I said, and it brought a lot of issues on TikTok. I posted it, and I was saying, when you're getting into a romantic relationship, it is better you don't be in a romantic relationship. Usipende partner wako, wacha yeye akupende. Yes, you can love them, but that brought a lot of issues, because now they were like, kwani sifai kumpenda, yeye ndo anipende pekee. But what I try to say is, you come first. You always come first. Let them take care of you first. Let them take care of your happiness first. Let them take care of your peace of mind first. You always come first. That's why inasemekanga, you cannot love yourself in the neighbor.
Wow, you love your neighbor as you love yourself.
So it has to start with you. So when it comes to toxic romantic relationship, one thing I'd like to tell you, please take care of your peace of mind. If you're in a romantic relationship right now and you're not happy, walk out. I know pain, you may undergo the pain, but one thing I usually say is pain doesn't last forever. Please leave. Usikuwe stuck with a person who doesn't even love you. You know, people are stuck in situationships. You know, there are two types. There's the situationship bit of it, and there's the relationship, the serious relationship. And when it comes to situationship, it means this person loves you because of something. They don't love you for who you are. They love you because you can provide money, you can provide sex, you can provide something, but they don't love you for who you are. So one thing I usually tell those who are watching in a romantic relationship, please, it is good ukiwa na partner wako, every time ask your partner, who are we? There's a story I gave about myself.
Yes, we come to Mama Chichi. Yeah.
Yes, I have been. I was in a romantic relationship for 5 months with a lady. We had agreed. We had defined the relationship and all that, and we decided we are doing this. Then 5 months after, in the relationship with her, I asked her, babe, what are we? And I'm like, she told me, we were friends. You know, you can imagine you investing your emotions and feelings towards someone, and this person doesn't reciprocate back. So please, if you're in a toxic romantic relationship, be it maybe your partner is abusing you physically, emotionally, please leave, because red flags. Tafadhali angalieni red flags. Kuna red flag ufai kuignore. Let me tell you something. If your partner tells you each and every day, akikasirika na kwambia wewe nitakuja kukupiga, trust you me, those are just no words. Inasemekanga Anki, when you're angry, that is the moment you express your real self. Whatever you had stored in your unconscious mind, you bring it into the conscious.
And Anthony, they also say when someone shows you who they are the first time, believe them.
Exactly.
But we have chosen to convince our minds, and
Yes.
that's why I'm coming to Mama Chichi here. We convince our minds on what perspectives we choose to pick from our situation. So people actually make informed choices. They sometimes they're misinformed or informed, but we tend to choose, he will change. I will stick around because, well, it's going to get better. And that is in romantic relationships. And I like what you have said, but I want to hear from a parental perspective. People don't realize you could have a toxic dad. And toxic doesn't mean they raped you or abused you sexually. What then does it mean to actually depress your children without even knowing that you're having a toxic parental relationship with your children?
Can I just define it as as imposing your will on the children? There's the place for guidance, there's a place for counseling, there's the as a parent, and parental guidance and parental love. But there is the place where you literally, if it is not my way, then it is the highway. At times, parents can be very oppressive on parents and on children, and I think we mentioned it when we talked about, for example, the academic pressure, that you will take this is what you're going to do in college, this is what you're going to do to study, and this is the way it should be.
This is the woman you're going to marry.
This is the woman you're going to marry. You're going to marry from this family because these are the people that we know. These people, we know this family, they are good, and you do not know that perhaps this. Can I say that my dad was a bit toxic?
All right.
He would beat my mom, and we would see him actually beat physically, domestic violence, and my mom couldn't go anywhere, because he had done what? He had paid dowry. And that brings me to that thing of dowry. Yes. You're not bought, you're not purchased, you're not a tool, you're not a kit that you have been purchased to be taken into somebody's home, and now I own you. You cannot own a human being. Exactly. You cannot physically own. You can bar them, you can confine them in your space, but you cannot own a human being unless they choose to be owned. And when it gets to you that you just mentioned that she said, I cannot leave because they paid dowry for me. Yeah. So are you the value of so if they paid 50,000, is your value 50,000? And what if you paid that dowry and gave them their dowry back? Would it make you less of a person or less you? So, and when parents influence marriages to that extent, it becomes, you lead yourself into a toxic situation, or even imposing your will upon children, imposing your will upon relationships, imposing your will on decisions. And toxicity is really when you do not give the person a choice, and you have some sort of power over them, and they're unable to withdraw from it, and you know that you have that power over them, but you know they're feeding off you. They're feeding off your vulnerability. They're feeding off the fact that they know you cannot get away from them.
Yes.
They know you cannot do away with them. For example, I've still got my firstborn is gone, Chichi's gone. I've got the secondborn is still with me. You know, always telling her, it's time for you, you know, either to get married or to do this. You haven't finished college. What are you doing in the house? The dishes are not done, and you're still here.
There was an advert, utahama lini.
Utahama lini. Now, you can't do, why is my house dirty and you're still here? Unafanya nini hapa? People your age are doing this, people your age are doing that. That is heavily, that is, you know, toxicity means poison. That is poison.
And when we say poison, it's poison to the mind?
It's poison to the mind. And you know, your mind leads you and your body follows. Yes. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Exactly. Powerful.
If you think you're little, you'll stay there and be beaten until you die. Yeah. And you'll die in your self-righteousness, na utakuwa maiti. And you'll live and get another woman and continue with his life. And the child will be, whatever. And by that, I'm just using your example. Yes. You're not a tool. That's what I'm telling you. You have to get in touch with yourself first. Yes. And realize the value that you have first. Yes. And as a parent, I also need to know my limits as a parent, so that I can also not go beyond, you know, because I'm realizing now that Chichi was a very sensitive person. So the way and I'm a very present person. And he's not that kind of person. He's very artsy, he's jocular, but he's very withdrawn. So you don't need to, you know, oppose and talk to him loudly and shout at him and be on him and be in his face all the time. He was not that kind of person. Okay. The second one is happy-go-lucky. The one who, she's like me. So we can go at it together. Nasema. And you develop those kind of, you have to know your limit as a parent. Know how to deal with each child individually. Okay, so that you can limit your personal influence and give them the space to make choices, right choices.
And just before you add something, I know parents are watching this morning. I want to read some feedback.
Yes.
Because there's a question, and there are questions coming out here. Mudingi FM, well, of course, Kihuo Gia, I cannot read the entire bit of it, but Mudingi FM is part of us. Thank you very much for, of course, watching Look Up TV, saying hi, Anki. And of course, just, you know, representing is our own Mau. Such talk. God bless Njenga, the psychologist, yes. And God bless you, Mama Chichi, saying, and may you continue to be strong. We are living in an era where self-validation has been based on other people's opinions, which shouldn't be so. There is so much social pressure in various media platforms, which has contributed largely to how people view themselves. Example being someone's looks. And we are in a digital era where values and morals can be greatly affected with just a click of a button. I think you mentioned followers and likes, yes. And I'll just, you know, appreciate that feedback from Mau, saying self-validation online, you know, and that's another thing, living a toxic relationship, but we were all good on social media. How do I then go back and say we didn't work out? Yeah, and of course, Edwin Kipkiri saying, good morning to whoever is struggling with stress, anxiety, or depression. May you find strength within you to fight. And then I come into now, how do I deal and get the strength within me to fight? Somebody's now going through depression as we're speaking. How do they get that restoration?
Actually, I think we should start with the signs.
Yes, and then we go into
yes, on what to look out for on a person who is mentally not okay, yeah?
And it's okay not to be okay.
And
yeah,
it's okay
but not to the extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when it comes to depression, or when it comes to most mental health, you know, the major mental health illness is depression. You know, so how you can know? One thing, never ignore somebody who is all of a sudden amenona, all of a sudden amereduce. Unaweza kuwa unaona ni anataka ku keep fit venye anakaa kuna body goals, but it may mean something. Don't assume. You know, and also there's a sign whereby you see a person withdraw, mmekuwa mkienda na yeye out, mmekuwa mkienda na yeye events, mmekuwa mkifanya na yeye activities and all that, but all of a sudden ignore, and you're like, maybe ameamua leo hataenda. You know, that aspect of ignoring the bit of it, you shouldn't ignore that too, because it might mean something to them. And there's also this other sign of a person who is not mentally okay when it comes to depression. Huyu mtu unapata kama ni introvert ama kama ni extrovert, unapata huyu mtu all of a sudden anaongea sana if it's an introvert.
Oh, that happens?
Yes.
Okay.
Anaongea sana. If it's an extrovert, amenyamaza. You can imagine. Unaweza fikiria, maybe huyo, you know one thing, Anki, which is so wrong, and people really assume some of these things. Tunaonanga ni kama ni kawaida for someone to withdraw themselves from something, but it means something. Everything people do in this life means something. Every single thing that you do. When you wake up in the morning, it means something. When you go to sleep in the evening, it means something. When you come at work, it means something. So never ignore these signs. When you see a person umekaa na yeye na amenyamaza, na huyu ni mtu si anyamazangi kwa like, hey, na leo Anki amenyamaza, you know, it's Anki, I know you. Nikiona umenyamaza, all of a sudden I'll check up on you. You know, it's not something wewe najua you're jovial, hata the viewers wata agree na mimi. So when you see someone all of a sudden amenyamaza na participate in some things, maybe you're in class, maybe in university, unapata it's your classmate, all of a sudden haongei, all of a sudden nachangi, unapata kama ni grades ukimuuliza, unaona alikuwa anapata distinctions, anapata tu
performance.
Yeah, you know, the performance part of it, you know. So don't ignore that aspect. It might mean something. You understand?
It always means something. Yes. Chichi was previously, like I told you, a very bright boy. He intended to be a psychologist, and so he also got into watching a lot of the programs on psychology. Some are good, some are bad. Right. Some take you in the wrong direction. Yes. Because the internet is so open, you can get a lot of negative influence. Yeah. Chichi is an outgoing person. He'd wake up, find out what I'm wearing, look at me and tell me, are you wearing that? You're not going out wearing that. Or do something about your hair, you know, something like that. He wouldn't care. He wouldn't care about himself. He didn't care whether he took a shower or not take a shower. He wanted to sit in the dark all the time. He got withdrawn. Sit in his room, listen to me. When people are awake, he's asleep. When people are asleep, he's awake. And so then he wants to boom music at 2 in the morning, and we've got neighbors. And if I stop him doing that, it becomes an issue. Now we quarrel until 2 now it's 2 in the morning. I'm going to stop him. He wants to put the volume on top volume, and I'm stopping him. So we get into it. Then he puts it down, slams the door, and just goes and sits somewhere in the dark. Or then, you know, one time he disappeared, and I didn't realize it. And I didn't realize. And in the morning I came and I looked. Nobody slept in his bed, and he just wasn't there. And I discovered. And do you know what? Later on, the cops called me. He had been taken in, and he was just wandering around in his boxers at night. And he didn't know himself, he didn't know how to answer. Cops don't understand mental health issues. They beat him. They beat him because you're a vagrant and you're trying to be rude. You know, for them, if you don't answer the way they want, you're trying to be rude. We kijana ni nini? So he really came, and he wrote it in his journal. And because he said this ear, they slapped him until his ear. They did something to his ear. So when they slapped him, he said he couldn't hear for some time. And the way he wrote it, I think, is what breaks my heart even more. What just happened? And then he just put ... and then he didn't continue. So I've never finished his journal, and because I think I can't bear the pain of knowing that probably that was one of the issues that caused him to start withdrawing. Maybe the many experiences also, but I'm going back to being a toxic parent. Toxicity in relationships and also in parenting. You have to know your limits, and you have to know your role as a parent. Is really guidance. And I'll say, and I'll speak to the audience as I say, you're just a steward. You're really just a steward. And these are things God was just telling me now in the aftermath, because I couldn't take the pain. It was just too much for me. So God reminded me, do you know you're just a steward? You know, it's as if, Daktari, I've just given you this thing. Ebu nishikie. It's not yours. It's mine. So the time I choose to take it back, that should be it. The method in which a child goes is not for anybody to define. If he decided to, there are many people from some of the church who said, you know, you can go in so many different directions with this conversation. His cross was faced outside because he committed suicide.
So when you lay him to rest...
When you lay him to rest, the cross is... You know the cross faces inside, like this? They faced it that side.
Okay.
Because he had committed suicide. So later on, So I didn't make a big deal about it because my father-in-law was, his church and our church, they partnered together. So when I tried making it an issue and they just about, they've already buried him. I mean, I was just too traumatized even to get into it. So later on,
we need to, I think, I know even my time is running out, but
yes.
I'm seeing need to actually speak to so many people,
so many things. There's so many things. Absolutely, talk to the church about
yes.
suicide. Talk to communities about suicide. Talk to families about suicide. Talk to the police
about even depression.
Suicide.
Before we even get to taking your life by suicide.
Absolutely.
How do you identify that this boy is a rogue? This one is a criminal.
Who ni jambazi?
Yes.
Now who has got an issue? He has got an issue mentally because Chichi was beaten and he had a mental issue.
All right, allow me to read this other feedback here. Anki, kindly, this is by Frederick Flavia Odongo. I know we're about to wrap up, but I'm going to give you guys a minute or two to still send in your feedback. Saying, kindly ask our guests, do they offer door-to-door counseling, like our various platforms like internet, institutions, schools, churches, rehabs, and centers, etc., at various scheduled dates, like now tuko na joto ya siasa. And our youth need counseling, not to be used by politicians to create chaos in the name of 200 Bob. I like that he's brought out the aspect of politics and football. But now I'm going to use politics. A brother against a brother. Because suddenly the underlying issue of, like you said, control. They're assertive. They want to show you, I am the one who's got word on which political party you're choosing this year. All right, where does the conversation start? Can we avoid this? If it usually happens, but like he says, any door-to-door campaigns, awareness, and especially during this period. Yeah.
Personally, I do counseling na niko available anytime. I usually have sessions online. I usually have physical, depending on the client. And to my clients, they'll attest. I'm always available, anytime. And
you asked about
very
availability.
And can I give my number?
We will have it at the bottom of your screen, but because today is a bit, intense, I'm going to allow, with the permission of my leadership and management as well, to also allow you to share that with the rest of the viewers, because there's so many people who are battling this right now.
If you're watching this and you need any psychological counseling, my number is 0725 02 93 98. I repeat, 0725 02 93 98. Get in touch with me anytime. I'll pick your call, I'll receive, and we'll do the sessions. We'll arrange.
All right, thank you.
And can I just affirm that it would be ideal to get a counselor whom you know,
all right.
And at times online counseling, while you can get an online counselor, but you can get quacks online also, and they can mislead you and lead you down a wrong path.
Yeah.
So get to recognized institutions or recognized counselor or recognized references that you can get to who you'll give valuable help. And one of them is also Hisia Counseling. Hisia Counseling is very good. They really worked with me when I was working on tiptoes. They really worked with me. So Hisia Counseling, I'm not marketing for them, but they're really good. The lady is a very dynamic person.
Yeah.
And also they would also lead you to other community structures that are available where you can reach out, and even programs that are available for the youth. And the youth really need, they're saying, upangwingwi, maisha itakupanga. Maisha itakupanga. And wewe ndio I don't want to use the wrong word. Lakini utakorogeka kichwa if you follow the wrong path.
Yes. You see very active people, go down at some point. Back at home, they're just changing, but it's not, everything is fine back at home, but things are not good at the work area. And I want to push this to the next discussion. I want to invite you guys next week on another day so we can talk about toxicity or in the work area and how to actually ensure you still stand strong or just leave the toxic environment. It's not all about the salary. Sometimes.
Or to manage yourself.
Sometimes you manage yourself. Like you said, it's a lot of internal work.
Yes.
So I know my time is up. It's exactly 10 a.m. And I want to appreciate you, Mama Chichi. You had to confirm that mental health issues can take 6 years, 6 hours. You can never exhaust it.
Yes.
But I hope that this was impactful to all the young people watching and that parents are concerned. You coming out to be an ambassador after losing your child to depression is very, very encouraging.
Do I have 30 seconds for parting words?
I'm going to let you have 30 seconds because it's already 10, but real quick.
Thank you so much. I also want to talk about your own supportive structure.
Yes.
And one of the most supportive structures that I have is my sister-in-law, my family. Chichi's auntie is the one who has helped me walk. And she's with me today. She's my bodyguard.
Oh, I saw her.
So that's why she's here. I really just want to appreciate her and to appreciate my family and also by Chichi's family, I mean his father's side, because his father passed away.
Yes.
But the family has really taken care of me as much as they're well able to and as much as is physically possible.
And I think
a support structure is so important. Otherwise, utagoroka.
So get a support structure and get your mental state right. Remember, it's okay not to be okay, but don't wait until it's too extremely not okay. Find help and talk about it. And while I talk, I don't need healing, you need healing. Be patient with yourself, be graceful to yourself, and like Anthony said, love yourself, put yourself first, but have enough grace for yourself as well. Heal when you need to heal. Do what you need to do when you ought to do it. You don't have to be so strong. We probably don't even see how strong you are. You know how strong you are. So that's it from me, Anki Doris But continue to be a champion for mental health. Remember, part 2 of this will come very soon, so it doesn't end here. But I love you guys very much. May grace be upon you. Until tomorrow, same place, same time, have a lovely day. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube. Did I say Facebook? And drink water, it's healthy. I'm here with my panelists. I want to have fun, y'all. Cheers to some soft drink. This is soft drink. Please, of course, they're hiding in alcohol. It doesn't take your depression away. Drink a lot of water.
Make those payments and take dinner out the freezer. Enjoy your day off.
Hey.
How was your day?
Great.
Did you pay the bills?
Abby did it.
And the plumber?
Abby did it.
Send money to your mom?
Abby did it.
Who's Abby?
Bank on WhatsApp with Abby, your 24/7 digital personal banker. Another digital innovation that gets things